using Brian's body to hip escape. So no feet on the floors, we straighten our legs, lift our hip, which now lets us start turning onto our side. The foot I can see stays where it's at. The foot I don't see sneaks inside and makes a little hook on Brian's ribs. You can put your foot on hip as well. Why is it important not to put the feet on the floor? Is I feel when I do this, my weight's still holding his legs still. As soon as I go here, it's really easy for a guy to get a knee up in the middle. And now we've really lost the initiative on the game. So it's one of those small things that you see, especially early on in jiu-jitsu, you're fighting. I want to open my guard and I do this, and now Brian's already collapsing that space. Okay? So we want to open our guard, our weight's on, turning here. Now it's going to be much harder to bring that knee up in the middle until I'm ready for it. Over here, Brian starts going for it. What I usually look to do is start grabbing this far up. You can keep going. From here, I move my head first and post my head. So like when my butt's, if you can adjust to get it back in there. Yeah. When my butt's on his leg, there's danger, right? So it's hard to just move your hips back over. But if I move my head and use that to post, I can shift my hips back. Now, we want to just kind of, why we're holding this is the arm that's going to be like pushing our leg down. So I pull it to me, just buys me a second. I move my head and I'm over. Now I'm ready to start playing my guard. Where I see people have the problem is like they know the idea, but they tend to keep their head up and they're, so you need like your head to post to let you move the hip to get squared. Is, say Brian starts trying to stand, right? I'm playing and Brian starts control. Cross grip. And here, I want to start controlling this leg right here. So, go to stand. I pull forward. Now we have a whole bunch of game once they stand off this cross bralette grip too. But I found cross grip. I kind of pull the knee in and now start using my knees to pull him in. Just kind of stifles them from being able to stand up fully, which will buy us time. And I found like what happens is they get here, and then like as they try to come up, I pull the knee, and you get like that collapsing factor. As we talked about last week, whenever we have our guard, our first job is to start breaking Brian's posture. Our legs are gonna do the majority of the work. I tend to see people a lot of times just like kind of lazily having their guard locked real low. Here I don't have much pull on Brian's upper back. Here I have a little bit of pull. The higher I climb my legs and pinch my knees, the stronger my pull tends to be. So try to keep your feet locked high. You're not gonna be able to do it the whole time in the match. You get tired, so you have to find your moments right. But when I wanna start bringing this guy in, I gotta start climbing my legs up a little and using my knees to help pull in. We did different ways to start breaking grips the other day. Right now, we're just gonna come to the inside. Start pulling Brian in with my knee. Maybe I had the collar grip that we worked last week, but it's just too low that I don't feel like I can attack off it. So I can make a grip here, or I can grip this same side grip. I start bringing my arm in, pulling in with my knees. I like to move my head off center, just in case he starts to fall towards me. I don't want him to headbutt me. Now, I'm gonna grab the arm first, and just get control, and grab the head. So here we have posture control, and Brian starts moving around. I can stay with him. Try not to keep your head on the floor far away from a guy. I find it's much easier for Brian to start posturing up here. Yeah, because he's able to get that arm in. I want to take away space. Whenever I create it, I want to stay as close as possible. Now, we did this little drill last week where we straighten our legs, use that to raise our hip, and turn onto our side. This. I start to break Brian down, and I'm going to turn on my side right here and lock my guard. One thing with this grip, I don't like to pull straight down. I pull forward first, then down. Versus just here. It just gets their butt off their heels a little bit, which disrupts base. So I start coming, control, straighten the legs to turn my butt up to the side I'm holding the arm, and lock my guard. So this first sweep we're gonna work is actually called a flower sweep or shanji sweep. Not necessarily known as a pendulum sweep, but I think it's pretty same mechanics. So, and I think it's easiest to learn. So we're here, right? We've talked a lot about breaking posture and grabbing collars, but right now they have good posture, we can't break it. So I'm gonna look to control a sleeve. You can use a couple different grips. Some people like this pistol grip, totally fine. I prefer like a little spider guard grip. When I go for this sweep, one thing I try to think of is I like put my knuckles on the side of their wrist. I feel like it's hard for them to bring their hand out to post. Sometimes when I'm here, yeah. So it's like a small little adjustment, but it helps a lot. Now, what I want to do is get a pant grip. You can stand. You can grab by the knee. There's usually like a little bit of material there. Sometimes if you pull forward with your legs, it's easier to get toward the ankle, like all the way down here. And that tends to be a stronger grip. So boom, we have it. Now, what we're gonna look to do is the side I'm controlling the sleeve. That leg, you have two options. You can go foot on the hip or foot on the floor right by their foot. My opposite leg is gonna get real straight when I'm ready to attack. I usually look to do is use my knee to push them a little. As they start to push back, I'm gonna straighten this leg. I start hitting into the armpit and lifting here. Don't try to lift first. It's the push with your leg that's gonna create the momentum. Keep this grip, hold this as high as you can, start extending with this leg, and this leg curls, because I don't want her to fall on top of me. So I curl, extend, sit up on my elbow, and come to mount. I like to keep this grip because they're gonna bridge and try to go crazy. And here I can just kind of hold, move around a little bit. Now I can kind of settle down and get my position. So we're gripping, trying to fight, boom, 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 pulling with my knees, find my grip here. Foot on hip, foot on floor, either way works. You don't need to do this push, but I find it's helpful. So I give like a little push, all the way on top, ready to attack. Does that make sense? It's a really good sweep too, especially if you time it, like some people will try to stand up on this leg, or go back 1 second. Let me make my grip. So if I get the knee grip, because it's not quite as strong, I usually wait for them to try to like stand up, and then they kind of help you. This is where we go hand to the inside. So sometimes when your butt's like right under them, it's a little hard. So usually if I want to get my hand under, I create like a little angle. So I'll put my foot on the hip, scoop my butt out, and now I can start to get under here. Right here. So Elizabeth's hand's in a good spot. Exactly. One little trick is her arm's kind of where I want it. If I can grab here, it's pretty easy for her to push her elbow to the outside, which can start to give me some trouble. Sometimes if I'm up by the shoulder, she can move her hand. Yeah. When I'm right here on the elbow, she goes to move. This little side. You can cup or make a grip. But it's just like a nice little trick when their arm's in a place you like to keep it there. So I'm gonna open my guard and throw my hand under here. Now, we're gonna do that pendulum motion. From here, I'm just keeping the arm, I'm bringing my head as close to this knee as I can. This leg's gonna swing up. Here I have my arm lock options, but we're gonna go for a sweep first. So I get here, it's hard with her weight still a little this way. So I like to think of this knee bringing her weight over me as much as possible. Now my leg comes out, I start to cut, just like we talked about last time, and extend. Same general position. Can you do it off the hand grip? Absolutely. All right, you start to come under, come, bring her weight over you. You see this a lot. And it's just this little difference of like, if my knee's kind of on line with my nose, now the sweep tends to be pretty easy. And if you like think about it mechanically, what happens is it loads around my hamstring better. Here it's like my hip pushing, here my hamstring, which is a strong joint or muscle. So now I just curve, push, come up. Same idea here. I like this little grab. They try to bridge around and move, and hold. Wait till they settle down a little bit. Okay, now I'm gonna control the position. can also go straight to the armbar. For arm bars, we can hit straight to the armbar. If, very common, they're gonna try to stack you, right? That's when this works so good. The more they try to defend the armbar by stacking, the more they set themselves up to get swept. However we control, you start to come. Say you have their posture broken a little bit and you have like their head, you can do the same thing. Just for but we're just here. And it's gonna happen a lot. They start to pull the elbow out. Now we have a couple options. We have our triangle attack that we talked about last week. If this arm's out, I'm usually gonna trap it with my head, swing my arm out, and do the straight arm lock we talked about last week. But if they bend it, now we're gonna go omoplata. So here, because I have my arm under, sometimes it's hard to finish the submission, but it can make our sweep work really good. So I get here, first thing I think about is the pointing of my knees. A lot of people think about like moving their feet first. I like to start pointing my knees. Now I bring my feet to the floor. Here, because I have her leg, I'm gonna grab, and I'm just gonna roll onto my knees and sit on her shoulder. From here, you can block the hip and sit down for side control. There's like a little attack sometimes I'll catch people here where I just push their hand to the floor. Elizabeth, that's skinny on it, but just use your calf as like the fulcrum. Thanks, bud. You can post and back step and start attacking into like mounted triangles. But just for simplicity's sake, you can just put like your elbow to the floor. So to me, there's times like if you think of the omoplata as more of like a submission attack, and then there's certain grips where it's like, just sweep and get on top. So starting to control, I come under, I start to come, perfect. You can just come here, I lead with my knees, roll, sit on the shoulder. Here they're gonna try to scramble. I like holding the elbow, move around a little bit. My elbow goes to the floor, lock the hip, control. This has been a sweep for me in like tournaments, especially getting late in the match. Guy wants to just stay there and hold position. That I can kind of force a sweep, create movement when they're trying to like stay locked down. So really good sweep to have in your back pocket. If you like want to just hold their hand here, this is a really hard position to escape. Like I can kind of hold, because we talked about it before. Elizabeth needs her elbow to be able to move, for the rest of her body to move. If you pin the elbow off the floor, they're not going too many places. 1, 2.